Hello to all our followers on YouTube. So what we got here today, it's finally released, the Arrma Typhon 110 scale 3S, 50 miles an hour out of the box. If you compare it to the big brother, the Arrma Typhon 6S is doing 60 miles an hour. So between the 3S and the 6S, this will do 50 versus 60. This is probably a better purchase if you want to go fast, because this can get upgrade. I'm gonna show you all the tricks and all the tips on those vehicles in a minute, but let's look real quick front to back, and we'll start with our review and see what we got on this vehicle that you guys probably did not pay attention to. Okay, so it's a new vehicle that they just released. They just look like they maybe make it 20% smaller than the other Arrma Typhon 6S 1/8 scale. This is the 110 scale, brushless electric. It is a 4-wheel drive with a BLX 3200 kV motor. Let's open it up and see what we got inside. Okay, so when you look at it real quick, you will see that it's just a bit smaller than the 6S Arrma Typhon. We're gonna go over some of the feature. Let's start here on those wheels. Those wheels actually come with a 17mm hub. What will make it very cool that you're going to be able to get rid of those wheels and install here your GRP wheels in order to do a speed run with this vehicle. So this is already a big plus. When you're going to do a big jump, it's not going to break and the wheel will not wobble so much. When you look on the back, they put their signature spoiler. I really like this spin, the spoiler parts that they make on it. It's look like, oh, this is gonna be a very cool design, but it's actually a little bit functional for high speed. You're gonna have one on the back. You probably want to put one on the front if you're gonna do a speed run with it. Now, when you look at general look for this vehicle, you could see right away, even without removing the body, that this is one of the new system for the 3S vehicle. If you look here, those two holes, and you look at here at those two, those are the same mount that you can find on the RC trucks like the Senton and the Granite. This is where the body mount gonna go, the body post over there. So this is something that you're gonna want to look at. You can convert it probably later into a truck. Let's remove the body and see what we got underneath. Now, while we're talking about those bodies, on those bodies for the 10 scale, they did not cut those cooling holes that come on the 6S. I recommend to do that because it's actually helped to cool down the motor. Also here you can cut those, actually cut it with a knife or a Dremel. The same thing, I will always like to make a small slots over here so air can go in to cool the system out, especially if you're going to do speed run with that. First look at it, and yes, I was right, it's exactly like the monster truck. It's the same chassis, the same everything. They have the new bearing that they start using here on the center shaft. This is a slipper clutch system that go over here, and they added this piece over here because when you crash really bad, this thing will just fly off. I highly recommend, if you're dealing with 3D printer or anybody have a 3D printer, just to make a small square to sit on top of that with 2 set screws from the bottom holding it together, because this can fly off if you crash really bad. And I saw it happening in the other vehicle. It's just a tip for newbies for those vehicles. Now, I mentioned earlier that those mounts are actually the same towers that you're gonna have for the kind of like, it's a shock tower in combination with the body mounts and everything. So what they did, they just put those 2 posts over here, and they put the body mount to extend it for the buggy. But if you're going to want to change it to a truck, you just have to get the mounts that's going to go front and back, and the conversion is done. Now let's turn it so it's going to be easier for the camera to see. Arrma BLX motor, brushless electric. This is again the 3200 kV series. This is a 4-pole brushless motor, so it's going to give you a lot of power and a lot of speed. Come again with the great BLX 100 ESC and their 7 kilogram steering servo. This vehicle is completely waterproof. Everything is sealed pretty nice in it. Waterproof switch, on-off switch. Now near the on-off switch there is a small reset button. Be careful not to press those. When people press those buttons and they don't know what they're doing, they're just going to cancel the reverse, or they will lock the brake, or other problem that you should avoid. Plug on this one, it's the new plug that they start putting on all the other 110 scale vehicle. Is the EC5, very thick connector in it, but you don't really need it for this. You're gonna have probably to use an adapter because most battery will come with actually the EC3, not with the EC5 for the smaller batteries, unless you're using the Dynamite LiPo batteries. On the front, suspension system, exactly like in the trucks that they have. You can see here they added those small guards over here for the shock towers, so when you flip you're not going to damage it. This part is just held with screw front and back. You can remove it, and actually if you need to replace it, it's just going to be like, it's kind of a skid plate on the top of the vehicle. When you flip it and you look from the bottom, this chassis is a 3-piece chassis. You're going to have the rear parts hook up to the center, again going to the front, so if you damage the back or the front, it's going to be a very easy repair. You can see those massive A-arm. Those will be pretty much hard to break. They're pretty big, very stiff. Also all your steering arm from the servos, they look very beefy for the size 110 scale vehicle. Let's flip it back and go to our battery compartment. At our battery compartment, they set it up again. I showed in one of my other videos that this battery compartment don't have a lot of Velcro to hold a big battery. Probably a 5000 3S will be the maximum that this will hold, but I may be mistaken. I guess that they're doing it so people not gonna abuse and overheat the motor and ESC. Very cool vehicle. It's actually very cool looking small buggy. I'm really happy that they actually made this vehicle. Front suspension on it is really nice. You can see it's have a nice rebound to it when you push it down. And just for a quick comparison, I'm gonna grab one of the GRP wheels and compare to see how it's fit. Okay, so we got here some of the GRP racing tires, and I can show you that those GRP tires a little bit smaller. But what interesting is that these tires look like exactly the same tires size that they're using on the 1/6 scale buggy. If we compare later to put like the GRP tires, it's gonna be a little bit smaller. Probably by the fact that you're gonna use one of those tires to do speed run, this vehicle gonna go a little bit faster. Smaller wheels turn faster because they have less surface that need to travel on the ground. So this is just a quick comparison and experiment. Now what I want to do is I want to put the cover back on this vehicle and go and grab the big brother and do a comparison between the two. Okay, so while I'm going to pull this 1/8 scale buggy, I discovered this one is also 1/8 scale. It's very funny because they selling it when you order it as a 1/10 scale 3S, but it's not. This is actually a 1/8 scale. It's exactly the same size. And if we take a real quick measuring tape and measure wheelbase, gonna be 11.5 inches, and the wheelbase here will be 11.5 inches. The wheels are exactly the same height. I actually like the one that come in on the 3S much better. They look a little bit bigger knobbies and look like they absorb more. But if you back up real quick, you will see the suspension system difference. Those are aluminum suspension system with a very beefy aluminum shock towers versus the plastic shock towers. The same for the rear. Rear very beefy shock towers with aluminum shocks versus the plastic shock on the cheaper version that is 3S. Now let's open the inside and see what we have inside, and then the length overall, the wheelbase from one to another. This is a 13-inch wheelbase and this one is a 13-inch wheelbase. The 13-inch you measure from the center of the wheel to the center. Usually you do it from the center bolt. Let's open it up and see what we got inside in comparison. We have a big turnaround over here that we did not notice. It's kind of tricky. Okay, now both vehicles are open. To start, this will take 6S LiPo battery. It's aluminum frame. It's a little bit more massive. The drive shaft, center shaft are aluminum. Bigger BLX motor. This is a 6S BLX motor. It's come with 185 amp ESC. The entire system of the servo saver is completely reversed. This one is going from the top, this one is going from the bottom. The entire front suspension system, you have here very nice upper A-arm versus here that you just have kind of stability rods over there. It's not actually an arm over there, it's just like a rod that's holding it. Then when you look further into it, you could see again a lot of changes, like such as 2 XT90 plugs right there for 2 batteries. This plug that they're giving you is only to make it if you have a 1.6S battery, to use 1 battery. ESC, it's much tinier than this one, so there's a big differences, and it's kind of, when you look at it from the beginning and you say, okay, what's going on here with those vehicles, they look pretty much the same, but obviously this is the cheaper entry level that they did, a 3S, but this will do 50 miles an hour, this will do 60 miles an hour. You're gonna get more aluminum parts. Here you're gonna get some plastic parts, but it still will do the job. So if you are on a budget, you're looking at a $330 versus about $450. So entry-level people, this vehicle can be just great for you to start working with. I think that this will be great also for speed run, exactly like we're using this specific vehicle. If you look online, Arrma speed runs, you're gonna see that there's a couple guys that took those cars almost like 140 miles an hour, but we're talking about this vehicle. Now the question is gonna be how fast this one gonna go, and we're gonna have to check it out. We're gonna test it out. We're gonna put a bigger motor on it, see how much abuse it's gonna be able to take. Other differences that you could see is gonna be the entire center system right here, where the motor is hooked up with a very big gear, and it's very easy to adjust, to change the gear inside, set up everything you need, and the much beefier, stronger metal shaft versus the plastic shaft over here. Here it's kind of, I would call it a mid-engine versus kind of almost like a rear engine. Even though it's in the center, it's the entire weight distribution is different on this vehicle. Let's close them back, both of them, and do some comparison. Even the bodies, this body is a little bit smaller. If you put it on top, it's a little bit smaller. Actually, earlier I mentioned the holes that there is in the back of this one that they did not do on that one, and you could see the difference also on the front. That this have 1 hole for the body mount versus 2 holes over here. This is just a little bit smaller body. I guess that they gone with whatever fit for the vehicle, but they both look very pretty. And again, I'm correcting myself, this is not a 110 scale, this is a 1/8 scale vehicle. Somehow when we talked to Horizon and ordered them to the shop, they said that this is gonna be the new 110 scale 3S brushless electric, but if you see it, it's a mistake. It's a definitely 1/8 scale. It is on the box. The small letters say that it's 1/8 scale. Okay, for just finalizing everything, so this is the 3S Arrma Typhon versus the 6S Arrma Typhon. This is much more massive, more aluminum, faster vehicle. This is the 3S version, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. This vehicle is still very nice, very budget friendly. I think it's still excellent for everybody who want to start doing speed run. Again, those two vehicles look really nice, one near the other. Write to me in the comment below, what do you think? Which one is better? Comment on this one, comment on that one. Which one you think that you like better? Again, this is Eric at RC Monster Garage, bringing you this review and comparison of the two Arrma Typhon, the new Arrma Typhon 3S brushless electric versus the Arrma Typhon 6S brushless electric. Now both of them available at MotoStyles hobby shop in Granada Hills, 17540 Chatsworth Street. Like and subscribe our channel, and don't forget to press right there the small bell so you can get all the announcement each time we put in a new video. Thank you and see you on my next video.